Welcome to episode 38 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. This is our Creatures of the Night Super Deluxe unboxing. Oh wait, no it's not, because we didn't get it. But welcome to another episode of Kiss Army Things anyway. My name is Xander.
My name's Jeb.
So we will at least be talking a little bit about the Creatures release since we did get some extra goodies, but no, the box set didn't arrive yet.
I don't think these are the extra goodies. I think the extra goodies are going to come as soon as we get the box set. We got the bare minimum.
Yeah, we were able to, we got fed up with it and said, you know what, we're not waiting on the box set. We're going to go out and we're going to see if we can find some of the other releases, the other versions. But anyway, so we'll at least be able to talk about some of the demos, some of the live stuff, and
the extra contents and the
we've heard
the
on
audio.
Spotify,
right? The audio has been released on Spotify. We were jamming that on the day it got released. Although I've been kind of casually listening to it, I'm waiting until I get the box to get deeply immersed. But I listened to plenty of it at work. I listened to some of it on the way here, and it's going to be an interesting discussion. And as Xander said, yesterday the two of us went out to just to see what not local to us, but some local record stores had as far as the new Creatures, and we were pleasantly surprised that they had the vinyl, the new CD, as well as free Creatures of the Night slip mats.
Yeah, we called around. We called some of the local stores. They didn't have it, and we ended up just kind of branching out, and we had to drive, like an hour and a half?
Yes, we did.
Which was fine. We ended up going to two record stores, and we got what we wanted, so that's what we'll be doing today, talking about the Creatures half-speed remaster, the CD, and some of the extra stuff that we get with the box set, of course, the live stuff and some of the demos. But first, we'll do the Kiss Spotlight, which may be a little easy this week.
Gee, I wonder.
Although it has been like over a month since you and I have been able to film an episode like this in the traditional format, so
that's true. I mean, it's Creatures for me. I've been listening to it relentlessly since. I mean, all the audio was released 2 days ago.
Yeah, for us.
2 days ago for us. So that's just been. If it was Kiss, it was Creatures or Creatures box set, including the Killers tracks on there. So for me, it's Creatures of the Night.
Absolutely. When I had to work some overtime this week on Saturday, extra 5-hour shift, and the box set I noticed on Spotify is about 5 hours long.
Yes.
So I just started from the beginning and just listened all the way to the end.
Did a full listening session.
That's the only thing that got me through my shift that day was the Creatures box set. But so I am with you. I've been listening to Creatures, but there's another spotlight I want to spotlight real quick.
Let's do it. We got a double spotlight today. I mean, the Creatures are kind of a given, but the very best of Kiss.
The very best of Kiss. I don't know what episode it was, but we were talking, somehow the topic of greatest hits and compilations came up, and we were talking about the very best of Kiss and how I didn't have it. And as soon as I said I didn't have it, it was like, no, that doesn't sound right. I need to have that. So I went, after that episode, I went and got it. And I don't think we've filmed since then, but I did get it. I jammed it in my car, and it's funny because this came out, I think, in 2002.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And
20 years ago.
Yeah, you're right, 20 years ago. And so we were pretty young when this came out, but this was one of those albums that, we didn't have a lot of the standard studio albums, so some of the longer compilations like this and double platinum, really got us through.
Is that the one with, does that have New York Groove on it?
This is the one with New York Groove on it.
That CD, the one that our father had and jammed back in the early 2000s, that was probably the first time I'd ever heard New York Groove was from that. You wanted, or the very best of Kiss compilation.
It was. And while I was listening to it, because I haven't heard this in a long time, like I said, we had one when we were kids, but I hadn't really had a copy of my own, so going back and listening to, I mean, obviously I've heard these songs a million times, but going back and listening to just this specific compilation, I almost wanted to call it the Kiss 40 of its time.
Sure.
Because I was listening, and it has, of course, Kiss 40 had one song from every studio album, one song from every live album, and then some extra stuff in there. This has, 2 songs from the first album, 2 songs from Hotter Than Hell, couple songs, one song from Dress to Kill, and one from Kiss Alive, 3 from Destroyer, and then just so on and so forth. But, and again, it does have New York Groove, which is the only song from the solo album that it included. Everybody else
just
got
for that to be included in
so random, anyway. So random.
Yeah. But it was the most popular one, so.
Yeah, and But as you go on, so after I Was Made for Loving You, obviously it skips Unmasked.
Yep.
It skips The Elder. It goes right to I Love It Loud and Lick It Up from Creatures and Lick It Up. But it does not have anything from Animalize, no Heaven's on Fire, nothing from Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
It does have Forever, and then God Gave Rock and Roll to You, but nothing else after that. Not Psycho Circus, the lead track off the then latest Kiss album.
I mean, at this point, the original lineup was still in full swing.
It was in full swing, and obviously Kiss's classics do lie in the 70s, but this was... I was listening to it, and it was doing a really good job of just giving you a nice little taste of every era of Kiss until it started to skip around, which I get why it didn't include The Elder, because as far as sales go, the very best of Kiss doesn't include anything from The Elder. But skipping, I think, Heaven's on Fire and Crazy Nights.
Yeah, a bit of a weird.
And, there's a couple other ones. It was just a little bit of a weird jump. But either way, I do like this CD. I listened to it in my car for a few days. But other than that, I don't think it'll get played much more than that. It's just kind of to complete the collection at this point.
Yeah.
But I talked about not having it on the pod.
Now
I have it. There's
more.
a couple other... I think compilations I still need to get. I did get Kiss Icons, but as far as Kiss Gold. Yes. I got Kiss Gold, but those Kiss Icons, those are kind of pricey.
I was gonna say you don't really see those a lot. You can find them on probably eBay, but I've never seen this Kiss Icons compilations in stores anywhere. Not even used. And
I don't really know if, and somebody in the comments who has one will have to let me know, because I don't even think there's any real reason to own them other than just to say you own it, because I don't know if there's anything that was included on those sets that was brand new or unheard of or
I would guess not.
Is a must-have. It just seems kind of like one of those big re-release packages. But anyway, so I'm spotlighting Creatures, I'm spotlighting the very best of Kiss, and then I guess I would also kind of spotlight Tokyo Off the Soundboard.
Wow.
Because that's one that I also have been listening to a lot recently.
Okay.
It was the first in the Off the Soundboard series, and we have 4 now, but that one's still my favorite.
Okay.
The Tokyo show. Donington
is my favorite.
Great. Virginia Beach, given some of the quality issues, was fine.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? I'm already drawing a blank. Des Moines, the most recent one from 77. That was great.
Yes.
But for me, the Tokyo show is the best one so far for me, because obviously with Donington, you got the original lineup coming back, the second coming, and all that hype and energy was still kind of there. But with the Tokyo show, you're getting all of that with Eric Singer.
I think I like the way Donington sounded more.
I like the way the drums sound on Donington, because they do sound more beefy.
I mean, Peter's
but
kit at that point
they were
being amplified to it, but it works. I think they should have always done that. I think every band should do that.
Make it sound big and huge, but
it's still soundboard, but it doesn't sound as soundboardy as the other ones, in my opinion.
But just Eric's playing, I think.
Oh, phenomenal! You can't top
the
Eric's
Tokyo show was just
he was
fantastic.
Fresh back in the band.
Yeah.
After a few years, I mean, he was doing it like Eric does it.
A lot of people want to say that Eric Singer was playing like Peter Criss around that time.
No, Peter doesn't do those fills. Sorry.
And I see why people make that argument, because he's not playing quite as fast and complex as he was, say, on the Revenge tour, but that's because that was a different Kiss. If you go back and listen to that drum solo on Tokyo, you're right, not only those fills, but those double bass patterns that he's doing, and some of those sections where it's just 2 feet just going at it. I mean, it still sounds amazing to me.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I was watching some Eric Singer drumming vids on YouTube. Every once in a while I have to just go on an Eric Singer binge.
Same.
As well as watching a video from that Eric Singer DVD of him playing Parasite on the Revenge tour around the Alive 3 era.
Yes.
And some of the comments, I know we're off topic of Creatures, but since we're talking about Eric...
What's the Kiss Spotlight?
It's the Kiss Spot, yeah. But I saw a lot of comments saying, like, why on earth doesn't Eric Singer play like this today? Or, like, Gene and Paul's really toning him down, trying to make him play like Peter. And I'm like, no, he doesn't play like it's 1993 anymore, because it's not 1993.
No, it's not.
As if people don't understand how time works.
Right.
It was a different
There's a time and a place for everything.
Entirely in 1993. Why don't they play like that now? Because it's not appropriate for what they do now.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not the same.
Right. And actually, I would offer this
how
too.
Time works.
I would offer this too, because not to somehow you're trying to slight Eric, but as humans, we do get older, we do age. Eric was a lot younger in those days and could play a lot quicker.
Yeah.
and a lot faster. But today, he's still the exact same drummer he was then, but you gotta pace yourself because you don't want to get too out of breath too quickly. Because when I listen to Parasite today, I can still hear those same kind of fills that he was doing back then. It's just a modern adaptation of that, kind of like you said.
Exactly.
Things are always brought up to date, up to speed, and Eric Singer has been really good at evolving.
It just
playing
blows my
whatever.
mind, and it makes me laugh when Kiss fans, and it's like this with every band who have hardcore fans, that people just don't understand
the nuances
how time works
and the progression.
Why can't they play like it was in 1993? I'm like that. The whole context, everything was different in 1993. That's why.
It's funny, when you just said that, I remember back in, it must have been 2011, 2012, 2015 even, when Eric was at one of the Kiss Expos.
Yeah.
And one of the fans asked Eric a question, and he literally just out loud said, "I love the way you play on Kiss Alive 3, especially Detroit Rock City and Love Gun, where you add in those double bass patterns, like those double bass shuffles on Detroit Rock City." And he's like, "Why don't you play those?" And he had to explain, well, number one, Gene and Paul don't want that because that's not the version of the band they're going for. Gene
and Paul aren't big fans of the double bass.
They're not fans of double bass at all. You can find Paul mucking Eric Singer
and Gene too.
Yeah.
So it sounds like tap dancing.
They always make the tap dancing joke. But anyway, yeah, Eric Singer, fantastic. Love Kiss Off the Soundboard Tokyo.
Yep.
Maybe we'll get another soundboard announcement in the beginning of the 2023. Yeah. But anyway, this episode, now that we're like 10 minutes in, this episode is going to be all about the Creatures of the Night release, because this has obviously been something that Kiss fans have been waiting for. For months now, especially you and I, who pre-ordered the box set. Me from KOL, you from Amazon. Just trying to see, almost like competitively, who will get their box set first. Yes. And here we are, both without it.
Now, I don't pretend to know the logistics behind any of that stuff. So disregard everything I'm about to say, but I do not understand why Amazon or Kiss Online or any shipping company, if someone pre-ordered something, they don't ship it out before its release, even if it's just shipping a day before. Ship it before its release.
Can I stop real quick and say something, because I'm about to piggyback off what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're just coming out of the Kiss spotlight and moving into Creatures. Let me bridge this a little bit, because you're absolutely right. I don't understand why, if somebody pre-orders something, especially something that costs like $200-$300, that you wouldn't want your customer to have said product on release date. And I understand that if you ship something prior to release date and then something happens with the shipping company to where it's delayed, or there's a weekend where you won't get it until the weekend's over, or there's a holiday. All of those things make perfect sense, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about it's November 18th, and I'm sitting there waiting for my shipping notification, and I don't get it. So even though Kiss Online can't get their act together, you know who did get their act together this time around? Disturbed.
Oh, okay.
Because Disturbed's new album, Divisive, also came out on the same day, November 18th.
And you pre-ordered
I pre-ordered that, and guess what? Boom.
You got the CD and the vinyl.
Here's the CD. Here's the vinyl. November 18th was a Friday. On Tuesday, I got an email at work saying, your shipment is on the way.
It's impressive. I don't know why anyone else can't do it.
I came home on the 18th on release day.
And you got the new album.
Is. And I've been bumping this album all week. If you're a fan of Disturbed, this is the album for you, because to me it's much better than the one they did a few years ago, Evolution. But I got to give some props to Disturbed, because
they did.
Whoever their distribution company is, I don't know if it's Warner Music Group or if it's some team handling their website shipments, but whoever, they're on it. Here it is. Same release date.
And that was just a CD and a vinyl. Now, he knows he could have gotten that on the day of. Anyway, but they got it to him on release day. Now, the box set is something you really want to get on the day of. So I went in, on the day it was released, I was waiting on Amazon to at least give me a shipment, notification. They still haven't given me one, but I went into my order today and I changed the shipping to one-day shipping. So now, as of today, the 20th, it says it'll get here tomorrow, yet it has not shipped.
Okay.
I had to pay like an extra $20 because I want it as soon as possible.
Right.
And when I originally ordered it, the only option was to get the basic free shipping. And it said it would be the latest, by the 28th. I said, I'm not doing that. So I went back and edited the shipping, and it made me pay an extra $20. So I don't know if it's going to get here tomorrow, if it's going to ship and arrive tomorrow. I don't know if that's possible unless the shipping company, unless they have some in my state. I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how they're gonna pull it off, but hopefully by the next time we film, we'll at least have one box set to show you guys.
The next episode we film will be the Creatures box set,
and it looks phenomenal.
It looks absolutely fantastic.
I've seen some videos on it. I'm sure you guys have checked it out yourself. I am dying to get this freaking box set. I am so much more excited about this than the Destroyer one.
Same.
Being that Creatures of the Night, just as an album, is something that we have always. That's always a part of our top 5.
It's always been our top 5.
So that that to me sets this box set and the last one apart. It's like, okay, Destroyer, getting the box set helped me love the album more. This one's like, I already know I love it, and everything's just going to be a cherry on top.
Absolutely.
So if you want to get into the audio contents, because we don't have anything physical barring the vinyl. If I could say something about the vinyl first, I don't know if you've noticed. I have a first pressing. I should have brought it here, but I didn't. I have a first pressing of Creatures on vinyl, and I put it side by side just to see what, if any, differences are to the half-speed 2022 remaster.
About the cover or the record itself?
Both. Just anything.
Okay.
And there is differences. Now, it could be because mine's a first pressing and it's so old that maybe the ink has changed color, but there is a difference in the color from mine. Like a pretty drastic difference. I don't know if anyone else has any first pressings or if it was just mine. You have a 2014 re-release there. But putting them side by side, first of all, the jacket, the cover on this is so much better. Like on the inside, it's really thick. It's really thick and glossy. The original one I had, it's like cardboard. It's really thin. The inner sleeve on the new remaster is awesome. Same deal with the really thick black inner sleeve. The original, of course, it's faded now, but it's really thin and cardboardy and all that crap. But as far as the cover goes, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the eyes on the album are, I don't know if embossed is the right word, but there's texture there.
On here?
It's indented on the eyes. It's subtle, but it's... Look on mine, it was even more pronounced.
Huh.
But this is
flat.
The eyes are embossed or indented or something like that on this cover, which was the first thing that I noticed.
Okay.
Now, my original copy, compared to the new one, looks greenish blue. This is blue and it has purple in it. It's really weird. I don't know. Again, it could be that my copy's so old that it's faded and the colors got distorted or anything, but there is a difference there. But I like the new remaster. You still have it in the shrink wrap here.
Yeah.
I took mine out and I put a different sleeve on it.
I still have my 2014 in the shrink wrap too, just to...
I can't stand that. My records will never be in the shrink wrap.
I only keep them in the shrink wrap
except for the rare ones.
They're not gatefold. And the reason why is because stuff like that, where the corners start to get bent, I just like to keep it protected as much as possible.
Yeah, that's why you buy sleeve covers.
Yeah.
I've got the good vinyl sleeve covers, the ultra clear ones with the flap, the resealable flap. I'm into my record collection.
Yes, he is. I am too, but he goes ham.
Yes.
So look at the back. What's the difference in the back? Anything in the back?
Everything's pretty much identical. They did a very faithful job of reproducing this. I just noticed the color difference on the cover between this one and the first pressing. The first pressing looks like a greenish blue. There's no purple in it. And if you look at this around... like the edge of Gene's hair, like there's a little bit of purple. It's like almost a purplish tint to it if you look at it in the right light.
Okay.
And then none of that stuff is really important, but I like putting them side by side. But very faithful recreation, and they did the original first pressing had the black sleeve with the printing on all the lyrics and stuff like that. They pretty much did a 1-to-1 thing. They just made the quality much better. The jacket's much thicker. Same thing with the inner sleeve. It's just like it's much more sturdy and modern.
This is 180 gram too, right?
I would imagine it. Yep. I was gonna say that 180 gram vinyl seems to be the new standard.
Yeah, absolutely. They're way more durable. Some of those ones, does your original Creatures feel really, really thin? Like it's
all my old records.
Like it's gonna break if you just look at it wrong.
That's why I'm planning on getting. I don't know if I'm gonna give it to you or do I with it, but I plan on getting rid of my first pressing because I don't like keeping duplicates of my records anymore.
Hey, I'll take it, man. Don't worry. I will do you a favor, and I will make sure that record is loved and cherished.
I tend to, I've been buying a lot of new copies of old records that I used to have, like the latest, 18 remix of Pink Floyd's Animals. And I have a first pressing of that too, but I might get rid of it because I don't like having old records anymore. I used to collect old vintage first pressings almost exclusively, and now I'm the opposite, where I want the most modern new remix, remaster, anything like that, because I don't feel like I have to baby those records like they do my originals. Sure. I feel like I'm holding thin glass, and I don't want to get fingerprints on it. And if I buy the new Beatles Revolver, and if I drop it, I can buy another one. If I use my old Beatles Revolver from the 60s, then I'm afraid I'm going to ruin it. So I love when bands like Kiss and other bands do the new remaster, the new remix, for an old album, because that's just the way I prefer it. And then people think of it as a cash grab. I'm like, no, man. The reason why they do it is because people like me like to get them.
Oh, absolutely.
I want the updated audio quality. I want the new jacket, and it's just beautiful. I think the Creatures vinyl looks great and sounds great. I mean, I can't tell you how much better it sounds than the 20 or the 1997 CD remaster or the 2014 remaster. I don't know. All I know is that the album has always sounded great, and the new one's no exception.
I've always wondered, because there was of course the original album, and then when it came out on the CDs in 97, they were all remastered, and then there was the 2014
vinyl remaster,
the vinyl remaster, and then there was, of course, now there's this remaster, and I'm like, are they actually remastering it every time, or are they just taking that 97 remaster and just still calling it remastered, because it technically was the remastered 97? Because I would like to ask fans out there, can you actually hear that much of a difference? You and I were talking about the new Revolver that the Beatles just released, and how
remixed from the ground up.
It just punches you in the face how good it is and how much different it is. Whereas I'm listening to the Creatures, and I'm like, it still sounds good,
but it's Creatures.
But I'm not being like, holy balls, this is like insane. I'm like, I'm not. My mind's not being blown.
I'll tell you, I did notice I could say there's a pretty noticeable difference in the Destroyer. Especially, the box set, especially with the Blu-ray audio. That does sound fantastic. I only wish they would do the Resurrected on Blu-ray, because that would have the best of both worlds. My preferred version of the album in its highest quality. And the vinyl did sound really good for that too. But Creatures is always sounded, like the production in the first place was always really solid. I mean, Michael James Jackson did an outstanding job on the original.
First time around,
because again, I have the first pressing, and it's no slouch in production.
No,
it doesn't sound that dated, which is kind of frustrating, because so far they've taken two of the best produced records and they've remastered them and did a deluxe box set. I'm totally head over heels for these box sets so far, but I want a Hotter Than Hell, not remaster, remix. If
Resurrected.
I'll get a degree in it, and you can hire me for cheap, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll be a
rebuild
sound
that
engineer.
Album, and just obviously you can't
re-record. I mean, I'm talking with the Revolver, Giles Martin. He didn't remaster it; he remixed it from the ground up. That's what I feel like they should go all the way.
That's what Ezra did with Destroyer back in 2012. It was Destroyer Resurrected.
Phenomenal.
And that
was worth it.
When I heard Resurrected, I was like, now that's punching me in the face. I can tell it exact. I will never listen to the original Destroyer
ever again. It's day and
night. Yes, it is day and night.
It's day and night different.
This is not day and night.
To me, it sounds great, but it just sounds like Creatures.
Yes. Which says a lot about how the album was produced, again, first time round. It was already good. I was
going to say, it already sounded phenomenal, but and I got that vinyl because I wanted to support it, and I love Creatures, and again, it still sounds great. So I'm not saying anything negative by it. Just sounds like Creatures. I'm just saying, for those of you who are wondering if it's blowing my mind, I'm going, no, the album it's been blowing my mind since I've ever heard it.
It's been blowing my mind since we first heard it.
And maybe it sounds a little better. I don't know. All I know is it doesn't sound any worse, and they did a pretty good job from what I can tell. I don't know what they did. Don't know if we can go back, listen to the 2014 and do a side-by-side. Is it even worth it? I don't know. So.
One thing about this is that it's a half-speed, or whatever it's called.
Half-speed remaster.
A half-speed remaster.
The same with Destroyer.
Which was kind of, confusing for most of us who, maybe don't know what that is. I did like a little bit of research and kind of found out that basically it's a copy of the original master that was cut into the vinyl literally at half the playback speed, which basically gives you almost like twice the space that the grooves are taking up.
Wow. Okay.
So you're recording it at half the playback speed, which means you're just letting a little bit more detail kind of
Yeah, get
just
into the
etch in there.
grooves. That makes sense.
The only problem with that is that you're going to gain something somewhere but lose something somewhere else. So your treble and your high end sounds are going to become a lot more clear, a lot more crystal clear. Your lower ends will still sound good and crisp, but the lower you go, the more you're going to lose some of that lower end.
Lower end information.
So that's basically is kind of the double space that each track takes up. Basically more space equals more room for some of those details to make a fuller sound is basically all it is.
It's almost like high dynamic range for a photograph.
Kind of. You just
in a way.
allowing a little bit more detail, but you're going to lose, I think, a little bit some of that lower end the lower you go.
I did listen to it today, and I just got another speaker. I don't know if any of you out there are not familiar with the Marshall Stanmore 2 Bluetooth speakers, which have RCA inputs if you want. Go to Best Buy and drop the money on it. I had one, so I was listening to all my records in mono for a while. Now I bought another one, and now they're in stereo. I listened to that on my Sony automatic turntable with two of those Marshall speakers, and I didn't notice any low end. I mean, because that album is filled with low end.
Yeah.
That album is almost defined by its low end.
It's huge.
Bass drums and Eric Carr's thunderous, drumming on there. I listened to it, and it sounded very solid. So I think whatever they did may have been worth it. I didn't notice any deterioration in the low end.
Yeah.
And I hope all of you, and I'll have to listen to it with headphones. I haven't done the headphone test yet. I'm waiting for the box set.
Yeah, I did the quote unquote headphone test with what was on Spotify with my
but you gotta do
little
the vinyl.
Bluetooth earbuds, but they don't.
You can't do
You're not going to notice anything.
unless
with
you get
those.
a good expensive pair of headphones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the headphone test with
the original pressing vinyl and then this one.
Perhaps I should, at some point.
Well, definitely let us know.
Do it with headphones that aren't Bluetooth.
Maybe come back on the next episode for the unboxing and tell us what you found.
Well, I should be getting it tomorrow according to Amazon, but we'll see.
We'll see. But anyway, so we didn't get our box set, but we were able to, like we said, go out and go to a couple record stores and hunt for these albums. And we got lucky because the first record store we went into had a copy.
They had one vinyl copy of the
Half-Speed Remaster. You snagged that up. I said, okay, well, let me try my luck over at the CDs. And I actually did find...
How many copies did they have? Just one?
There was just one.
They had one out?
Now, maybe there's one in the back that now that I bought mine, they put one more out.
Sure.
Or maybe somebody came in and bought the other one before me, and this was the last one. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I was really lucky, to actually... It even says on the front, 40th anniversary, 2 CD deluxe edition. Of course, Destroyer was 45.
Yeah.
And this is 40. They're only 5 years apart. But
it's
anyway,
wild to
and
think.
when you open it up, I don't know if you got to open it up or not, or see when it was open it up, but
gorgeous.
It looks fantastic. You take out the CDs and it has
you should
picture.
put images up so they can see once they're talking about it.
Absolutely.
The CD looks fantastic. How does this compare to the Destroyer one? Was the Destroyer one as cool as this one?
You know what? I actually kept my Destroyer one sealed because I bought that one way after the fact.
Yeah.
When it came to the Destroyer box set, I was only going to get the box set. And then I ended up seeing one of these out in the wild, or one of the deluxe CDs.
You can't just not get it.
And exactly. I was kind of like, okay, well,
like it's right there.
I'm going to go, I'm going to go ahead.
$20.
I've got $20. I'm going to go ahead and get it. So, but because I already have the box set, I had those CDs. I've listened to those CDs. I just kept that sealed for the collection.
Sure.
This one, since we don't have the box set, you and I, once we bought this, we jammed it all the way back home.
Yes, we did.
Again, about an hour and a half drive back, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
We went into another shop, and that's when I found my copy.
They had a few copies
the
of
Half-Speed
the vinyl.
Remaster. There was a few in different select spots, but mine was...
It was already on sale.
Was on sale. So he got his for full price, $33. I got mine for the sale price of $25.
Yeah.
Which
I can accept that. I was mad at first. Not mad, but you know what I mean. But I did... I held off on pre-ordering the box set until Amazon had it dropped in price, and I did. I got it for, what was it, $179.
Yep.
Of course, I just paid an extra $20 for shipping, but I'm still saving another $80.
Yeah,
because I paid in total, including shipping, about $200 for the box set, and so it should be here tomorrow. But the CD looks great. I mean, I'm glad they did stuff like this because obviously the box set is for the diehards, the people who are really, really into the stuff and are willing to pay upwards of $300 to buy it. So, if the vinyl's just your thing, well, you got the vinyl. If you wanted the CD with some extra content, you got that. We ended up getting everything except the colored vinyl. Now, with the Destroyer one, I bought the standard vinyl on the day it came out, and then from KissOnline.com, I got the colored vinyl, and from Amazon, I got the box set. We ended up giving the vinyl away for our giveaway, so I had the colored edition of the Destroyer box set. Mm-hmm. This time, we both decided just to forego that in lieu of how expensive this box set was.
Right.
And we got everything else. I feel like, because I think the colored vinyl had roughly the same contents as the 2 CD, didn't it? Had the remastered album, and then it had some demos and live stuff on 3 discs.
On 3 LPs, yeah, it did.
And it looked sweet as hell, by the way. I wanted that blue vinyl, but the box set's increasing in price. I got the vinyl. I don't really need the colored vinyl.
You can't get everything. No.
If I saw
even if we wanted to.
Now, if they had that in the record store, I know that was a Kiss Online exclusive, and I'm kind of glad, because if I would have saw that, I would have paid how much? $75?
Yeah, probably.
$65, $75? I probably would have bought it.
Yeah,
but
because it's right there. I mean, that's why we.
Yeah, I'm like, if I see it, if it's right in front of me, it's just like you with the Destroyer CD. It's like, well, what am I gonna do? Walk away as a Kiss fan?
There's lots of factors. You want it. You want to support your band. You want to support your local record store. Yeah, so it's like
tough. Man, it's a constant conflict, and as a Kiss fan, going, man, do I get everything or do I just get what I need?
Get what I need. Get what you want. Yeah.
And I'm getting the box set. Everything else is just cherry on top.
But like we said, so we were able to jam these on Spotify the day that it did come out, and let's talk about some of the live stuff that we got, some of the demos, and what stands out to you first and foremost?
Well, what stands out to me is what I've been wanting out of Kiss for a while now, and that is finally live content with Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent.
We're starting off right there. Let's go.
I mean, like, demos are cool and all. That's not why I get excited about the box set. Not really. I mean, it's more stuff I haven't heard before. Some of it I may have, some of it I may not have. That stuff's cool, but the live stuff really, really got me excited. And so listening to it, I was not disappointed, although the quality is not great. It's not
really. I didn't really have any
terrible.
Complaints. I didn't have any complaints.
It changes a little bit.
Okay.
From the different shows, it's not totally consistent. And I'm not complaining about it. I am so glad that we finally got some live Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent. I was dying. I kept saying, as far as the Off the Soundboards, what do we want to see? I think that may have been one of our first go-tos, is some Eric Carr on drums. Some official content with Eric Carr and some acknowledgement of Vinnie Vincent. Now, I don't think there's any guitar solos from Vinnie, are there? I know there's a Paul Stanley.
They did cut the Vinnie solo.
Which
it should have been after I Think I Want You. Okay. Is where the solo would have been.
And I would have liked to have seen that on the box set. I think, I'm not going to tell them what they should have done.
Right.
I would have preferred leaving it all there.
Yeah, let it all hang.
A part of the Creatures tour. It's a part of the history. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but that doesn't really matter.
Because here's the thing. They kept all of Ace's solos on the Off the Soundboards. No, they don't go on for 14 minutes, but it's just as much.
Yeah. No one has any objections to Ace's solos.
But it's just, again, you want to talk about quote-unquote dead space on an album. You got 10 minutes of a guitar solo on all the Off the Soundboard. It's like, why not just let them meet there? Like, let it all hang.
Well, again, and for me, it's just a historical standpoint. It's if you're getting a deluxe box set,
you want all that.
You want it all. You want a full show.
They gave us how many versions of?
A couple different versions of I Want You.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, on like just the demo stuff.
Just
there's
the demos.
There's like 2 or 3 versions of every single song. You get like 2 Rock and Roll Outtakes and 2 I Still Love You. 3
we could have done without the instrumentals in lieu of even if the Vinnie solo sucks, because I've heard some awful. It's hard to say awful. I've heard a lot of Vinnie solos though that weren't even my cup of tea. Okay. Some of them I love. Some of them I can't stand to hear, but I want it on the box set just because it's a part of the history. It's a part of the Creatures tour. He was the brand new guy in the band. Yeah. I mean, he's not on the album cover.
No.
But that was Vinnie's.
But he was on the tour.
That was Vinnie's first, go with Kiss, album. And they omitted the guitar solo. And even if it was bad, I'm like, it's still a big part of why, there was so much intrigue in the band and the mystique behind Vinny, and I'm not gonna say they shouldn't have snubbed him, or because we don't know why they did it. Maybe the solo was too long.
Maybe they just literally could not fit it on that CD. They would have done a whole other disc.
But if it were me, I would have hopefully tried to figure out a way to get it on there. I mean, we've got an Eric Carr drum solo, and no one's going to object to that.
Yeah, we listened to that in the car, and it was like it was basically like Car Jam.
It was a live
that drum
Car
solo
Jam.
was like listening to Car Jam live, and it was like, oh, this is it. This is everything.
That is what I've been wanting for so long.
Yeah,
and it almost made me emotional getting to hear Eric Carr, who passed away before I was even born. You know.
Yeah, right. We never lived. We never lived in the same.
Right.
Lived on Earth at the same time as Eric Carr.
Right, but it still kind of hit me hearing like, okay, he's finally
getting his due. There was never a live album with Eric Carr.
No, there was nothing. We had the Kissologies, and that was
there was something which was fantastic. Don't get us wrong.
It was brilliant,
but there was still never a live album with Eric Carr.
No.
There has not been any Off the Soundboard so far with Eric Carr on it.
Not so far.
This is literally what fans have been begging for. Forever. And listening to this live stuff, because again, we weren't around at this time, so for us it almost just seems like, oh yeah, it's part of the history and the history.
Yes.
But trying to put myself in that time period, I'm thinking, okay, so Peter and Ace unfortunately are no longer with the band. The original Kiss has gone, and you have to, like, what do you do? How do you stay on top? And it's like, this is how you do it. You get guys like Eric Carr, who can play the drums in just a thunderous fashion like nobody else can, right? Like John Bottom on steroids, basically. Who can still sing and obviously is a loyal professional. Guys like Vinnie Vincent, who, like Ace Frehley, not just a good guitar player, but someone who can contribute, whether it's backup vocals or songwriting, good songwriting. Vinny's stage presence. Vinny was a really... Just forget what we know about Vinny.
Yeah.
And...
if you only saw him on stage...
If you look at this box set, yes, exactly. If you look at him at just the guy, the new lead guitar player in Kiss, and you look at Eric Carr as the new drummer in Kiss, it's like, this is Kiss on steroids. And Kiss was already like, the Beatles on steroids.
Yes.
So listening to, this is like heavy metal Kiss. Kiss already kind of helped pioneer heavy metal in a way with their show and their speed and their loudness and, all that. You look at a lot of metal bands, they will look at Kiss as one of their... influential, one of their influences. Well, by 82, metal was pretty much it. You already have bands like Judas Priest and Motorhead are already out. Iron Maiden, I don't know if you want to call Motley Crue heavy metal, but they were still, they were the new guys. They were the new guys in the block.
Metallica's debut album came out a year after this.
Yeah, so Kiss, they're 10 years in. What do? Well, they reinvented themselves. Of course, we know that the album didn't sell and it didn't quite catch on.
The tour didn't
but
do
again,
very well
forget all we know about that. When I look at this album and look at this era of Kiss and this lineup, I'm like, dude, this is a mighty Kiss.
Go back and watch the, and I do often, the Rio de Janeiro show, Brazil, 1980. That was 83.
82, 83, yeah.
82, 83, right before they took off the makeup. That's
metal.
To me, that was like Super Kiss.
Yeah,
we think about how Super Kiss was around Love Gun era. Comic books in 1977, 78, when Kiss was really on top of the world. You watch that and you're like, okay, that's cool. But you watch that and you could tell they were trying to compensate for the lack of attendance at the shows and
the last couple albums. This is not The Elder. This is not Unmasked. This isn't even Dynasty.
No, and that's what makes this era of Kiss so cool.
So cool.
This is like the comeback album. This is like the first revenge moment. Where you went through so much of this. Where do you go? What do you do? And what are you gonna do to, again, like you said, bring it back up to 11?
Yeah. How do you get everybody?
This was everyone knows that Creatures of the Night was that moment where Kiss got back on track.
Yes, and with this box set, the album wasn't a success for the band.
No, it wasn't.
And it kind of led to them, okay, well, now what we have to take the makeup off. That's the only thing left in our arsenal to get everybody kind of paying attention a little bit and to do something else. But I feel like with this Creature Celebration, this box set, these, remaster half speeds and 2 CD deluxe sets, it's like Creatures is getting the love. This release is getting the love that it deserved back in the day.
It's getting like a second chance.
It's getting a second chance.
I didn't think of that before, and I like that.
Yeah, well, neither did I until we're kind of here talking about it, because it's like, and it really does feel feel like that. So we talked about some of the live stuff. Does anything stand out for you as far as the live stuff? Any certain tracks?
Not really. I mean, they're good.
I Want You was one that we listened to.
That was very cool. I love the energy on that. Mostly, it's honestly Eric's drumming. I love the way his drums, like the actual physical drums, have their own sound.
And his feel, too, is a very specific feel.
Feel is just like Eric Singer. I know when it's... I mean, Peter and both Erics... All three have their own thing going on. It's
almost like doctors in Doctor Who. You know, they're all three like drummers in Kiss. They're all three the Doctor, but
like a different universe.
It's a different universe, a different version of the Kiss drummer.
But Eric's drums specifically, he didn't use. It sounds like he didn't. He had like really high pitched drums, really low pitched drums.
Yes.
His drum kit didn't sound the same, and I love the way his hi hat and snare sound. I just like
his snare's perfect. He has a perfect snare.
Yes, I'm saying his rhythms, his timing, and everything was different from both the other drummers in Kiss, but my gosh, he was killing it on the live stuff.
And it was a little bit faster. It wasn't quite as fast as you might get on Animalized, but it still had that little bit of beef to it.
Yeah, so you could tell they were amping it, they were starting to turn everything up a notch. So apart from that, I was really looking forward to Vinny's guitar solos, and even though there wasn't anything like mind-blowing because he rarely played the same solo twice, if ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost seems like he was improvising on every solo.
He was changing those solos because they were not aces. He was not playing aces solos.
He was not playing.
He was playing Vinny,
here and there using a couple elements, a couple of the most iconic parts. Here's a bend here where you expect it to be. Everything else, it was just throwing notes in there. I'm like, that I like hyper get into. I'm like, what is he going to play on this solo?
Yes.
As a guitar player, I mention that every time we do a show.
Good.
But as a very, very low skill amateur guitar player, that's the kind of stuff that gets me excited because that's what this is about. We've never had any official audio from this era.
No.
Not audio exclusively. And so that to me, I'm like, I have to absorb this because it is my first time hearing it. I can listen to Destroyer and hear the same thing I've always heard. This is something that is like, it's like a new live record that I get to immerse myself in and try and get familiar with because I know Alive 3 like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I've heard it so many times and I still listen to it and I love it, but this is new. It's
Kiss.
Totally different. It's a totally different band than the Alive 3 era, totally different band from the original lineup. It's even a totally different band from the last album.
Yeah.
I'm like, that to me, I really sink into.
Me too.
And I try and pay real close attention. I'm like, let me absorb every little aspect of Eric's drumming. And, Gene's vocals are, a little different. His bass playing and Vinny's guitar playing. I'm just like, that all is just in itself exciting to me. Like, even if it was a crappy Vinny solo that they cut, I want to hear it because I haven't heard it before.
Yeah.
And I want as much of it as I can get because, and I know it's out there and they could have done it. But for me, the live stuff is king. I mean, like you could remaster the album, you can give me the demos, and some of the demos I really enjoyed. Some of them sounded way better than some of the demos sounded on Destroyer.
Definitely.
I thought some of Gene's demos were really cool.
Yeah.
Again, showing off how much of a great bass player he is. But yeah, to me, it's the live stuff that I'm going to be... once I get that box set, I'm going to be really diving into that. But for you, what as far as the audio stuff that we've gotten so far has gotten you the most excited?
Well, as far as the live stuff goes, one thing I really appreciated was kind of getting a glimpse into the set list at that time. Because
that's a good point.
Because like you said, there isn't a lot of audio that's come out from that era,
right?
And of course you can look up set lists. Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, you can look up set lists and things like that. But even with that Rio show on Kissology Volume 2, it's not a complete show.
That's right.
So you get to see some of the songs they were playing.
Yeah.
But with this box set, you're kind of seeing some of the songs because I didn't realize that they were playing Strutter.
Had no idea about that either.
You're playing Strutter
on the
Creatures tour.
Seems unlikely.
Even we mentioned I Want You.
Yes.
I was like, I didn't realize they were. I've never heard Eric Carr play "I Want You" in makeup. They played "I Want You" on the Hot in the Shade tour.
Sure.
But as far as hearing Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent playing Strutter and playing "I Want You"
calling Dr. Love
is crazy to me.
Yeah,
it's great to hear.
"I Want You" makes more sense than Strutter. I didn't think. I mean, because that was their first single, and it's a totally different band. But hearing it, I'm going, wow, this is really weird.
It was
really cool. Eric played that song really well.
Yeah, and so one of the complaints I think we have said about some of the Off the Soundboards is that, Well, one of the things we look forward to with those Off the Soundboards is the set list and the track list and adding some of those hearing some of those different songs, because some of that stuff is just we're adding more versions of Rock and Roll All Night to our already girthy collection of Rock and Roll All Nights, right? Like how many versions of Lick It Up do we have? Rock and Roll All Night, Detroit Rock City.
Yeah.
But with this Creatures box set, we're getting some stuff that we've never heard before.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hell.
Yeah, live.
We get 2 versions of Rock and Roll Hell. We get...
You talking about the live?
Yeah, on this.
Yeah,
yes, we get 2 live versions of Rock and Roll Hell. We get a version of Keep Me Coming.
Yeah, Keep Me Coming.
These are songs that were, on the album and were barely played on the tour before being dropped forever.
Wow.
They did actually play Keep Me Coming on one of the recent Kiss cruises.
Well, nice.
The Creatures Kiss cruise, I think. They played Keep Me Coming.
Cool.
I Love It Loud, War Machine, and a couple of those songs.
Yeah, they always play I Love It Loud and War Machine.
Yeah, but...
That Keep Me Coming shocked me. I was like, that's one of my least favorites on the album.
Right.
They pulled it out and played it live.
They played it live, and I actually really, really liked it live.
I liked it better live.
Me too. I thought it sounded great.
Same thing with Rock and Roll Hell.
Yep. Yes.
I was like, I didn't think that song would work live, but it sounded good to me.
Yeah. And one thing that I kind of have to keep reminding myself is that Rock and Roll Hell is technically
it's a cover.
From
it's like a rewritten cover from
BTO, from Rock and Roll Overdrive. Kind of like what they did with Gotta Give Rock and Roll to You. They took a song from another band and then rewrote some of the lyrics, most of the lyrics, so they don't have to give too much credit and too much royalties to the other artists, but they're still using that title. Yeah. And I don't know if I've maybe heard the BTO version once or twice, but Kiss's version is really good.
Really good.
I love the version on the album. That was Satan Center. And that's Satan Center's another demo or another
live track.
Couple demos that we get.
But they didn't
I don't think they played Satan Center live, but there's a couple 2 or 3 versions that they included on the box set of them in the studio, which gets us to this point because hearing some of the stuff in the studio that they included, like I Still Love You, Take 1, Take 2, they got Satan Center, Take 1, Take 2, False Start, Satan Center, Take 3. You can listen to just all these tracks back to back to back, and it's almost like you're sitting in on the Kiss recording.
Yeah, that's what I love about it.
And from 82 and 83, from this 82 era is just fantastic because it's one of those eras that was here and gone. It was Eric Carr and Vinnie Vincent, and then there was No Makeup. It was Lick It Up, and then Vinnie was gone, and it was just, it was like that. So hearing the band, and they sound really good, and they're having fun. Mm-hmm. There's a couple parts where they're just having back and forth banter and talking and laughing, and
that's what I look forward to.
Having a good time. And there's one part in Satan Center where Gene's like, "Oh, Eric, do the thing," and he does it, and Gene's like, "Oh, can we do one more real quick? That sounds really good, guys."
Yes.
Like really good, guys. Just hearing that stuff in the studio
that's the best.
That's what we want. Something else we got that was kind of cool was all these sound effects.
I haven't listened to them
included some sound. Well, I mean, there's not much there, but it's just the fact that they're there makes it super cool. Because there were some sound effects from the Destroyer box set, the car crashing and the explosion and different stuff. So with this one, we get sound effects from the tour.
Yeah.
The start of the show with the tank, the turbine, and during I guess Gene's solo, there was like howling winds during Gene's bass spitting blood and bass solo. So just to hear some of that stuff included is great, even though I think if it wasn't included, nobody would really know, and nobody would be like, oh, they should have had some of those tour sound effects.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been cheated.
But yeah, it wouldn't have been cheated. But the fact that they went ahead and included them, and the fact that they're just—it's amazing how much stuff is just there.
Yeah.
Again, we're looking at some of these things. I'm looking at. It's like Partners in Crime, alternate mix, 16B. Meaning there's
several versions.
Partners in Crime 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And there's possibly A, version B, version C of all of those. It's like, you're kidding me. There's just all this content. All this stuff there. But obviously, we weren't around when Kiss was on the Creatures tour, so I didn't even know any of these sound effects existed, or again, that's kind of the reason why I'm glad it's there, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't care because I didn't know.
Right.
But it's cool to say, hey, here's something new that you didn't get to hear because you weren't there.
Right.
So for us, post Creatures and after the fact in 40 years later, to hear this stuff is really immersing.
Yeah, I mean that's what this box set is for. I'm glad, you know. It's not something I'm going to go back and listen to every time I bust open the box set, but to hear it, I mean, like that's part of why the box set is so, you know, it's for the diehards.
It is for the diehards.
Only Kiss fans are really going to. Diehard Kiss fans are really
only
care about
diehards are going to
that.
listen to again Saint and Sinner, Take Two, False Start, or Rock and Roll.
I'm talking about the sound effects.
Oh, the sound effects.
I'm like that's something that's really, really deep.
Yeah, really deep. Yeah.
I mean, like that's deep cut times 10.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad they included it. It's just a nice touch.
Even with the Creatures box set, there is no way they can include everything, because these live shows that we get some tracks from Rockford, Illinois, we get some from Sioux City, and we get some from Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
But none of these are complete shows.
And then we know the complete shows exist.
You're getting three basically 1/3.
Yeah.
And you're kind of piecing them together to make one show, but with two versions of I Want You and two versions of Rock and Roll Hell.
It's strange how they did that.
And they're, it goes from Rockford to Sioux City to Sioux City to Rockford, and
basically compile the whole show together.
It's bouncing back and forth,
which is weird, but I'm not complaining.
They did it kind of really well, because if you're listening to it, it almost does just flow like a show.
Yeah, but it made sense.
But these are not complete shows.
No.
And we know that these shows exist because earlier this year, during the whole Sam Loomis debacle,
during the summer, we got
the
full shows.
All three of these shows were released in full.
Yeah,
and then some. Not only was Rockford, Sioux City, and Houston released, but you also had El Paso, Texas, and I think Toronto, Canada. Those shows were also released in full. From the Creatures tour.
I think it's very unfortunate timing. I wish they would have. I mean, say what you want about whether people should be releasing this stuff or not. I think they should have waited until after the box set, because the box set was already announced and in full swing, taking pre-orders, and I don't know. That kind of irked me.
Here comes all the live stuff and then some.
I was gonna say, I'm like, don't.
Now I
have no problem with bootlegging. I'm just saying, like, bad timing.
No, and I agree, but at the same time, I'm glad because we still did not get the full shows. This is great, and I would have been happy because I would have had no choice.
Yeah.
But with the leaks, you also have access to...
just do it after. By the way, I haven't listened to those shows, and I don't know if I'm going to.
For sure.
Just because of that. And I wouldn't feel bad about it if I did, because guess what? I paid for the box set.
Yeah.
I didn't pay for the other stuff, but... Usually if I like bootlegs, I'll buy the bootlegs.
Yeah.
Although I've watched plenty of other stuff.
Yeah. So we got some live stuff from Sioux City, from Rockford, and from Houston. We have one track only from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and that's King of the Nighttime World.
Didn't know they played that on that tour either.
Neither did I. And I think that was the first and probably the only time on that tour that they played that song. Wow. So that's cool that we did get a little bit of bonus something else there. Again, it makes you wonder, though, well, where's the rest of Pine Bluff, Arkansas? Is that something else that we can expect from future leak? Or is that something that we're going to have to wait for Kiss to finally release? Does it even exist?
Who knows? Maybe the show sucked, or maybe the audio went bad. Or
who knows?
It makes you wonder why they would only choose one song from that show. But
right.
In a way, it's almost like having, not quite, but almost like having another Off the Soundboard a little early. This stuff is... It is. It really is.
It is. And I was actually going to ask, I might as well ask this now, because, one thing we've been talking about since episode 1 of this podcast, episode 1 of Kiss Army Things, we were talking about the very first Off the Soundboard, because it hadn't come out yet. Yeah. And the one thing we said from day 1 of this podcast was that we wanted to see an Eric Carr Off the Soundboard. So now that we have this... Is this enough? Does this appease you, or do you still want to see something from Eric Carr?
It definitely doesn't appease me. I want a full show.
I'm greedy.
I want the full show. I want a full show with Vincent's guitar solo on a whole separate disc.
So you want more Creatures?
I want more Creatures. I'll take whatever.
What if they did like Animalize or
I'll take
Hot in the Shade?
Oh yeah. Well, for now it's so please me, but I still want them to do a full Creatures show.
Okay, so you want full Creatures
because it's still so, and I don't know how redundant that would be now, because there's the leaks of these full shows. We have this. almost makes it seem like it's going to be unlikely that they even.
Well,
do
they
that
were
for this
redundant.
tour.
Well, they were redundant to do Virginia Beach. So I mean,
Very good point.
They
Redundancy is not off the table.
It is not off the table. No, absolutely
So
not.
we could expect one of these full shows.
So, yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe
And I would
maybe
buy
El
it.
Paso will come out
And I would
as the
buy
next
it.
Off the Soundboard, and I'll buy it too.
And I want the full show because, again, this isn't the same as an Animalized tour where there's already so much other stuff. I mean, this was such a small period in the band. It's just that one tour where things were like they had the tank stage. They were still wearing the makeup. Vinnie Vincent,
It was
and
heavy
Eric
metal
Carr,
Kiss.
brand new in the band. I'm like, that is just, it's such a particular moment in history that I want to get as much as I can of. So for now, it'll please me, but I hope in somewhere down the line, if they continue the Off the Soundboards, I want a full show. I don't care what country it's in. Do Europe because they had better attendance. You
Yeah.
know, even if they did the Rio, the Brazil show, the one that they say 200,000 people.
It was 173,000.
The amount, the capacity gets lower and lower every year.
I've heard 137. I've heard 150. I've heard 173.
I've heard 200,000.
Kiss rounds up to 200,000 because, of course, it's Kiss. I'm pretty sure that
It
the
looks
Monster
like-
Fanzine edition said 173.
I don't know where any of these numbers are coming from. But when you watch the footage, it is remarkable.
It's still a
and
gnarly show.
unbelievably impressive that they pulled that many people.
Which brings up another point, because one thing that fans have also said that is kind of missing from these box sets is video. You have all these audio, you have live stuff, you have demos, you have Blu-ray audio. Where's the DVD? Where's the video? Why is there not? Where's the full video of Rio? Was it
Remastered,
Was it
not just the taken from the cassology because it looks dated. They need. I want Blu-ray, 4K, everything. If I could change anything about, I would do away with the sound effects and put in a Blu-ray, just of anything. Even if it was the same Rio show, just Blu-ray, just some video would be amazing to me.
Yeah.
Would love that.
I agree. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was some of the demos, because we briefly talked about the demos, but one of the demos that we got that everybody's been kind of waiting for, or at least I've been waiting for, was the It's My Life demo. We have had the Psycho Circus version for a while now, I think since the box set came out in 01, right? And that version I absolutely love.
Sounds great.
But I only in the last few years found out that there was one from 85 or one from 82.
Yeah, it was
I was like, wait a
originally
minute.
written during these sessions.
Yeah, and I think even didn't Wendigo Williams record it for her album?
Probably.
I think. See, all that stuff I never knew about. You always learn new stuff, but to hear that demo was fantastic, because that's one that's been kind of lost.
That's a good song that should have been on an album.
That should have been on an album.
That, to me, we were talking about this last night. I think it should have been on Crazy Nights, and I think they should have made that the second single following the title track. Of course,
Well, it does fit in with the whole Crazy Nights.
yes, and the chorus is just, I mean, that's everything a Kiss song, a great Kiss song is.
Yeah.
The sound of it and the sentiment of it. I was like, why did this never? I don't know. I couldn't tell you why I never made it, but hearing it. And its most original state for when it was first written, and then the original demo is really freaking cool. Because again, like you said, everyone's been talking about that for years. It's my life. It's my life.
And wasn't it on the? I think it may have came out on the Vault, on Gene Simmons' Vault.
I would imagine it did.
But we didn't get the Vault. We couldn't swing that. I wasn't getting the Vault experience, none of that. So I was like, hopefully somebody either posts it or sends it my way or whatever, so I can at least hear it. But never did.
We likely got a good chunk of it on here because there's a lot of Gene demos on.
There's a lot of Gene demos. Now, my favorite demo on this, "Feel Like Heaven."
Yep.
And
because I remember at work I told you.
You told me, you were like, "Hey, new demo, Feel Like Heaven. Check it out." I said, "I'm not there yet, but I can't wait."
Yeah.
And I knew as soon as it came on, I was like, "Oh, here we go. Here we go."
I understand.
I love it.
It's amazing.
I'm obsessed with it.
It's a great song.
I'm obsessed with it. I showed my wife. She loved it. We were dancing to it. It was just fantastic. I love it. Does it fit on Creatures? No. No, it does not. But that's okay, because it's, still something I'm glad to hear. It's a demo, but it sounds like a full-fledged track.
Not quite. I can hear where it's lacking production, but it's not far off. All the key elements are there.
Okay.
If they would have done, to me it doesn't sound like a final finish track, but it sounds like an extremely
Well, it's very,
good
very
demo.
close. It's very, very close, because some of the Gene demos that we got, on the last box set. We got betrayed on this box set, which wasn't even lyrically finished.
No, this was a full-fledged song.
This sounded like a full-fledged song, even if it wasn't full-fledged mastered and mixed and ready to go.
I was just going to say it's unproduced.
It's unproduced.
Otherwise, it's a full
still
song.
a really good song. I absolutely loved it. Now, there's a couple things that I noticed or learned about this song, and I want to know if you did as well. So, apparently, this song was recorded by Peter Criss for his album Let Me Rock You.
And I did not know that.
I did not either. This song, because everyone's like, yeah, I like the Peter Criss version. And I'm like, what? And I went and listened, and yes, same lyrics, very similar music, just in Peter Criss's style. And it was released.
Peter singing it?
Yes.
Nice.
And it was released for his 1982 album, Let Me Rock You, which didn't get released into the US until 88, but still. So this song had been recorded by Peter after the fact, kind of like Hide Your Heart was recorded by both Kiss and Ace Frehley. Here's one that was written and demoed by Gene, but ultimately was recorded and first released officially by Peter Criss.
Did not know that.
The second thing that stood out was, we all know how Gene writes songs, right? Gene works on a bunch of different songs, and then we'll take the verse from this and the chorus from that,
Are you
and
making
the hook
Sonic
from here.
Boom referenced here?
Yes. Did you notice that too?
Of course, I noticed the
cool.
earthquake underneath your feet.
Yes. So
I was like, those lyrics go way back.
I was about to say, so we've always known that on Sonic Boom, you know, a lot of Gene's songs sound like they had been written from years past and were unearthed
from the 80s.
and were Frankenstein together. And so this is actually no exception. And this actually
appears to be one.
This proves that theory is true, because the opening line to Feels Like Heaven was, I can make your heart pound, you can feel the beat, I can make the earthquake underneath your feet. Whereas when it gets to Sonic Boom, the song I'm an Animal, he flips it into a question and says, can you feel your heart pound? Do you feel it beat? Can you feel the earthquake underneath your feet? And then it goes even further than that too, because in some of the other verses and some of the other lyrics on Feel Like Heaven, it says, now I'm not superstitious, don't need astrology, don't need no crystal ball to tell me what I see. And I'm an Animal, those lyrics come back as well, but are changed again into a question. Are you superstitious? Live a fantasy. Don't need no crystal ball to tell you what you see. So this is like, it's funny because this is proving Gene's theory, but this is like our theory about how Gene writes, but this is expert rewriting by Gene, because just by changing statements into questions and changing I and me into you can change the whole song.
Changes the whole
context. Because Feel Like Heaven is a very groovy, song about tonight in the present, whereas I'm an Animal is like,
it's a totally different
It's very ominous. It's about, it's questioning. It's a lot of intense, uncertainty there. It's heavy. And what I love about Feel Like Heaven is that, it does not fit on Creatures. It would never have fit on Creatures. But if it had come out on Unmasked or something, it would have been perfect.
Maybe even
it would have been perfect. And I love having both demos. We have the Penny Lane demo and the original demo, which is more stripped down, has mostly just...
I like the original more.
I like the Penny Lane one, but what I loved about the original was you get to hear the quality of Gene's vocals. And, we always look to Paul Stanley, or even Peter Criss, as being some of the stronger voices in Kiss. And Gene, to his credit, is an amazing singer.
I love Gene singing.
And this is an example. I think,
bass playing.
Naked City's pretty good too. His bass playing is great. But listening to Feel Like Heaven, I can just get lost in Gene's voice. You know what I mean? Like, Charisma to me is really cringy and really laughy. It makes me laugh.
A little bit.
And, but Feel Like Heaven, I think, is kind of like Charisma, but without some of that cringe. It's just a really, really good, solid Gene song.
It's a great...
I love it.
Pop. It's a great pop. I mean, if Gene were a solo artist, I think he could have pulled something off with that. It could have maybe had a hit. If they would have got the right producer...
This would have been in clubs, like in dance clubs.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not a dancer. I hate dancing. I'm very stiff on the dance floor, but this makes me want to get up and groove. I do the same dance to this that I do to Soul Station, listening to that, because, again, it's just that groovy. It hits that pocket. It's in that vein. I've never heard a song like this before. So whether or not this has been released before and you've heard it before, I never have. And so this, to me, was probably one of the stronger moments.
I loved it. I listened to it last night just on its own.
Yeah, me too.
And that's extremely rare for me to go back and listen to any one demo because it sounds that cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, that should have... And you know, it's just a cool song. Taking Gene and Kiss away from it, I'm like, I would listen to that song if it were released by anybody today. It's a good song.
It's a really, really good song.
Bruno Mars could do something with that song.
Bingo. There you go.
He would knock that out of the park.
It's got that same kind of soul, that same kind of vibe to it. That you're right. That
it's
Bruno
got
Mars,
swagger. It's got it's sexy. It's got bass. It's got a good rhythm. I'm like, make Bruno Mars, sell that to Bruno Mars.
Please
put it on the radio.
Absolutely.
Get some good backup singers.
She can make some money on
produce it. That would be. Or Silk Sonic, that's what Daphne said.
Yeah.
That would translate really, really well in the modern day. Because it would still sound nostalgic, which all popular music now kind of sounds nostalgic anyway.
Right.
Gene's got range, man. He's a very dynamic musician. He can really write a song in any genre.
Yeah.
Which is why on both of his solo albums, it's just a hodgepodge of everything. I'm like, man, he's just a... He's an all-arounder.
Yeah. But that's all I really had to talk about the Creatures album.
Obviously,
this is really exciting because this is a top 5 album for us. I know for fans that Creatures ranks very high for them too. So
that's right.
If anybody out there is listening and watching, please in the comments let us know how you're feeling about the Creatures box set. Did you get your box set yet? Are you still waiting like us? Tell us what your favorite live track or favorite demo was.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, you've heard us babble on and on. Now it's your turn. So please leave us comments and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. It helps us know that you like the content that you get. Of course, liking videos does that as well. And if you want more Kiss Army things in your life, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We're posting all kinds of stuff. Kiss memes, Kiss merch, and more. So, Jeb, you want to leave us with anything as we're wrapping up here?
No, I hope... everyone who can and is able to get the box set or any portion of it of the new release can get it.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoy it and support the band.
And what box set are you looking forward to next?
Yes. By the way, I just checked my shipping. I know it's a Sunday, and they usually don't move any shipments on Sundays, but it's in Georgia. So my box set as of the 20th is in Georgia, and it is expected to be in southern Indiana by tomorrow.
Wow! So you might actually get yours tomorrow.
It's moved somewhere. It says it has shipped, and it. Again, I just changed the shipping. I think that was last night or this morning. So if they pull it off, if I get it tomorrow, I will all sins forgiven.
For sure. And
because that's impressive if I get
that. And
if
you get it tomorrow, we're going to be back here filming.
We're going to film it.
We're going to film another one tomorrow.
And I'm going to be upset. I'll
get mine. I'll worry about mine. We're going to get yours and we're going to unbox yours.
Tonight I'm going to dig out my Destroyer box set and just go through it.
Just to feel something.
Just to feel something. I would go through it and go, man, imagine this, but Destroyer. Or Creatures.
Yeah, the Creatures. Yeah, so if yours comes tomorrow, we're going to get it. Mine's being shipped by FedEx. And I hate FedEx. I'm fed up with FedEx.
FedEx is not.
I've checked my shipping. It says shipping location unknown. Anyway, we're going to wrap up here. So thank you everybody so much for joining us on another episode of Kiss Army Things. This is episode 38. We're glad you've joined us. Please subscribe, follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
That's right.
And we'll see you next time on the Creatures Unboxing. So thank you. Peace. My name is Xander.
And my name is Jeb. Peace.